In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a GTA 6 feature that was just recently added to GTA 5. It transforms our game from this to this. So what you just saw is what GTA 6's lighting is more than likely going to look like. Matter of fact, it probably will look even better simply because it's going to have much better textures and models and stuff to go with it compared to what we have in GTA 5. But this, I think, is just so interesting. Now, I've already made a video on what we're going to cover in today's video. This is the ray traced update for the GTA Enhanced on PC. I made a video talking about it with the 30 FPS debate a couple of days ago. In that video, we went around the normal map and took a look at a couple of ray traced differences and how it looked without ray traced and then how it looked with ray tracing. It was very drastic. But that was also in a part of the world map that was made 13 years ago. Well, recently mods on PC for the Enhanced Edition got updated, which means we could go to the Cayo Perico Island, which at this point is a few years old, but it's still one of the most recent things, one of the most recent big things Rockstar has done in their game development. So if any place in GTA 5 would showcase this new ray trace lighting the best, it surely would be Cayo Perico. And yes, it is insane what ray tracing does to this island. So let's just revisit what I showed already. This scene in front of the water fountain area. With ray tracing on, it looks pretty beautiful. Again, the textures are probably like the lowest point of this because these textures were made years ago. I'm not even sure if these were new textures with the Cayo Perico update. They might have just been reusing the stuff from 2013. But it looks great with ray tracing. The parts that aren't in the direct sunlight are lit from the bounced light from the sun. Stuff like the roof at the top left, you can clearly see has some of that ambient glow on it. The pillars are also very nice looking. You get the ambient glow and like the sort of gradient from right to left, from light to dark. And if we go ahead and turn off ray tracing, this is what the game looked like before. This is what the game looks like on consoles, even with the enhanced update, because the consoles do not have the full ray tracing update because they just don't have the hardware to do it. After seeing the ray tracing part, this looks so bad. The parts that aren't in the direct light just look awful, especially down there over on the right. It looks so ugly. But we turn ray tracing on, it transforms this scene. Let's go through some more examples. Here we have ray tracing on, looking at that house from a different angle with some light, hitting. It looks like a good scene. There's some nice shadows. The under part of this little overhang is lit. Again, the parts that aren't in the direct sunlight are also sort of ambiently lit. We turn ray tracing off. All of that goes out the window. All those like shadow areas go out the window. You can almost barely see them. Also, the shadows of the trees are very, very defined, which is not exactly how you see stuff in real life. We turn back ray tracing. Look at that difference. When you do an A to B comparison, it is crazy how much ray tracing transforms so much of these little images here on this island. Here we have a little courtyard scene. Again, ray tracing on. The shadows are very soft. The lighting on the walls, like on that left wall that isn't in the sunlight, you can see it's sort of the glow of the light is on it. We go ahead and turn ray tracing off. I mean, it looks bad. The shadows on the ground, specifically to me at least, just look horrible knowing what the ray tracing part looks like. The wall of that building on the left is just so lifeless and dull now. But again, ray tracing on, boom. This courtyard has come to life. This one is a good example of the shadows. So this is of course with ray tracing on. It looks very good. Nice little patch of light in the middle. The shadows in this whole scene are very soft because of where that light's coming from. We go ahead and turn the ray tracing off and you can see every little thing of the shadows. It's a straight line on that right hand side. The tree is just almost perfectly shadowed on the grass there. Under the arches on the walkway in the back, it's just dull again. This blue, lifeless, grayish, almost dull color. Turn the ray tracing back on. All of that has changed. Here is a drastic example of the light. This is just a little hallway somewhere on the Cayo Perico Island. The sun is directly overhead, and you can clearly see on the walls on the left and right that light bouncing off of like the floor and then hitting on the walls, enhancing their orangish, yellowish, goldish color. If you turn ray tracing off, that is what the game used to look like. We used to play Cayo Perico the heist and go around this island having the walls and the island and the buildings look like this. It just looks so bad once you see it with the ray tracing. You turn the ray tracing on and boom, all of that light is just glowing almost. It's night and day when you do this comparison. Now there is some weird issues, like I said, with the textures. Like, I don't know if you can sort of see here on the wall texture. There's like a water-y looking motion going on with the texture, and there is no water near it. So I'm not entirely sure. Again, that's more than likely because these textures are, 13 years old. GTA 6 isn't going to have that sort of problem. Here we have another little courtyard scene though. I think this is probably one of the same courtyard scenes, just from a different angle. You can see, well, the sun's probably like, overhead, 12 o'clock. The biggest difference with this one when we turn ray tracing off is this middle part, these arches, these 4 arches that go over with the vines in the middle. We turn ray tracing off, like all of that ambient light is just gone. The ambient glow, I should say, is gone. Again, it's just lifeless and dull. I mean, I think those are the best descriptors of this non-ray trace look. Even under the roof on the left, a lot of that glow is just gone. You turn the ray tracing back on and all of that color all of a sudden pops. Now it is very noticeable during the day, especially with the sun, overhead like that, but you can see a little bit of this at night. Here's another little courtyard scene. There's not a giant difference, but again, it's more of in the shadow areas with ray tracing. Again, with the 4 arches over the middle, you can see some detail there on the wall, despite there not being light. You turn ray tracing off and then it's basically all just black. A lot of the shadow areas are just black with ray tracing off, but you turn the ray tracing back on and then you get details in those shadows. Here is another good example of that. This is with ray tracing on. You can pretty much see the entire roof or the entire ceiling of this little part of Cayo Perico Island. We turn ray tracing off. In the corners especially, it's like just pitch black. And I have my brightness in game turned up quite a bit. Even with that, it's still pitch black. We turn the ray tracing on, that light is then splattered across this little room. And here's just another example, especially up at the top on the ceiling. With it, everything is lit up. We're gonna go ahead and flip it off, and then everything is just dark again. Even in the distance, you can't see a whole bunch just because there's no light out there. But we turn the ray tracing on and some of those walls in the distance, you can see a little bit more detail on. Here's one sort of with the moonlight. It's not that strong in this particular instance, but the shadowy parts that would be on that left railing, even the right railing, and then the little building in the background, that wall, I would assume the light is bouncing off of the pool and that's what's reflected on the wall. We turn the ray tracing off and then all of those areas basically just go black. They go dark. Now, of course, up close, this sort of stuff is very, very noticeable. It's not super noticeable when you're farther away. Like here's just a wide shot of the Cayo Perico Island. This is with ray tracing on. It looks good. But when we turn it off, there's not a giant difference, unless you're really looking at it. I'll go ahead and just flip back and forth, ray trace back on here. Maybe like in the trees, you can see a bit of a difference. We turn it off. There's not a whole lot. Like if you're driving around, it's not something that's like instantly noticeable in a lot of areas. It's really just when you're walking around, you'll see the big difference with the ray tracing. Now, one of the other reasons why I wanted to test this just for myself on the Cayo Perico Island is because of the performance issues that we had with this island when it came out. Actually, this is with ray tracing off, and unfortunately I had the FPS counter on when I recorded this, but for whatever reason it didn't stick. So we're gonna have to use this little crappy one that Steam puts on. I'll sort of enhance it so you can see the FPS I was getting. This is with ray tracing off on the Cayo Perico Island on the enhanced version. The performance is actually really good. It used to drop to the 30s, even on very good hardware, But on the enhanced version, I guess they fixed whatever issues that was causing that. And you can see we're at about 70, 80 FPS, which for a 13-year-old game maybe isn't the best, but it's still really good. Problem is, when we turn ray tracing on, it tanks the FPS. There's some parts that go into the 30s, which is not good. I have a 9800X 3D, which is probably one of the best CPUs in the market right now. I also have a 3090. I also have 64 gigs of RAM. The 3090 is a little bit dated at this point, but it's still one of the best GPUs on the market. And with ray tracing, max graphics, I even have DLSS on the quality setting. We are dropping into the 30 FPS range on this island on a 13-year-old game. Now, that's a little bit misleading because, again, Cayo Perico came out, what, 6-ish years ago? But I thought this was pretty interesting simply because for those wanting GTA 6 to be 4K 60 FPS on a PS5 Pro, if my PC can't run GTA 5 with ray tracing, like, we're not getting all this at 60 FPS at 4K on a PS5 Pro. Between 4K 60 FPS and ray tracing, I'm willing to bet the ray tracing is going to be what Rockstar goes with, simply because, as we've seen, that makes these games look so good. Now, it might not be as hardcore, like this is the best ray tracing you can get. They might have to tone it down slightly for the consoles, and things will be a lot more optimized than this Cayo Perico Island. But yeah, there's just no way the game is going to run at over 30 FPS with 4K graphics with the ray tracing that we're seeing here, especially with a map in the world the size of what Rockstar, games do. And I actually want to compare this to some other recent games because, of course, that's what GTA 6 is going to be compared against, at least graphically speaking. I want to take a look at Assassin's Creed Shadows, the newest game, probably one of the best looking games that have come out recently. This game looks amazing. Like, you can argue whatever you want about the gameplay, but the graphics, they look beautiful in this game. But I also want to note that if you're looking at this game and you're like, GTA 6 should be on par, if not better, the one big difference is that Assassin's Creed Shadows, from what I've seen at least, has very small-ish towns with not a whole lot of like crazy AI stuff going on, like with the NPCs. The world is not even close to the scale that Rockstar Games worlds are. GTA 6 is going to be a massive game. The cities are going to be super dense. It's been rumored there's what, like 70%, 80% interiors. You're going to have all of the NPCs walking around. You're going to have all the NPCs driving around. You're going to have all their AI components, what they do if they have schedules and stuff. All of that affects performance, which is why Assassin's Creed Shadows looks so good, because they scaled back on the world, the NPCs and such. But it still looks amazing. Another game, which is somewhat similar, Death Stranding 2. This game's trailer showed some very, very amazing looking graphics. I mean, look at this. This almost looks real life-ish. But if Death Stranding 2 is anything like Death Stranding 1, again, the world itself is very bare bones. There's not a lot going on in it, so they can afford to have insane graphics like this. And this isn't a different game. This is actually GTA 5, but with a mod. This is a new mod, apparently, or an updated version of a mod, of a graphics mod. This lighting looks insane. They have taken what Rockstar's done with the ray tracing and gone even more in depth with it, apparently, because some of these scenes look damn near lifelike. And again, this is probably the lighting you're going to see in GTA 6. Like, this is what the game is going to look like in GTA 6, just with better textures, better buildings and stuff, more NPCs and all that, which is very exciting, of course. Like, that's amazing. Now, truly, the best test, and unfortunately we're just not going to get it seems, would be if Rockstar added this ray tracing to Red Dead Redemption 2, because that's their latest game. That game, for a 2018 game, looks amazing. It looks better than most games coming out nowadays, and it's 5, 6, 7, 8 years old at this point. If Rockstar added ray tracing to that game, that would be revolutionary. But unfortunately, they don't care about one of their best games they've ever made. I think on the consoles, there still hasn't been a PS5 update that makes it 60 FPS. I think on consoles, you're still running it at 30 FPS. So it's unfortunate that it seems like we're not going to get a ray traced update for RDR2, but that would truly showcase, I think, the lighting, because it would have all of those other improvements we've seen with like the weather and the textures and stuff compared to GTA 5. And we're just gonna go back to some more Cayo Perico ray traced footage here, because it is amazing what the game, what this island, or what this little compound, I guess, looks like with ray tracing on, just walking around. If you're on PC and you have the enhanced edition, you can try playing a heist, but you might not get the best lighting for it, because again, this is like 10, 11 o'clock during the day to get this sort of lighting. But if you want to add some mods to spawn in this, like, just walking around this looks gorgeous. And maybe I'm sort of weird in this regard, but this is one of the parts I love about realistic looking lighting like this. I can just walk around a world and take that lighting in, take the world in a much more intimate way compared to normally how I would play GTA. I don't think it's crazy to say that most of us, when we play GTA, we find some cars, we start shooting, maybe you start driving, whatever. You're going very fast, you're running around. You don't ever really just take the game slow, unless you're in a slow vehicle maybe. But with this ray traced update, I did just find myself walking around the city, like literally just walking around the city. And it's a little disappointing because, of course, again, it's a 13-year-old game. There's not much depth there. Of course, all the interiors of the stores look like crap because it's like a 2D model. There's not a whole lot of NPCs. The NPCs just stand around. But at least with the realistic lighting, when I do walk past a building with a window, I see a reflection that is very realistic. I also wouldn't have heard this amazing little conversation the NPCs were having if I wasn't walking around.
Let's go shopping for new dildos. Mine's totally worn out.
Hey, I hear you.
And just small little stuff like that gets me excited, because all of that is going to be amplified probably 30 times, if not higher, in GTA 6. The world is going to be a lot more dense. We saw that in RDR2. All the NPCs actually interacted with the world. They had their own little stories and stuff. So while yes, in GTA 6, I'll be going around, you know, doing the things we all do in GTA 6, blowing stuff up, shooting things, driving fast cars, I actually am almost more excited for just some of the smaller moments that'll end up happening in that game, where I'm just walking around like in the Everglades and I see what the wildlife does. I mean, that was something amazing in RDR2, just seeing what the wildlife did interacting with the world. I'll be able to do that in GTA 6 with this amazing lighting. I'll be able to see what crazy, stupid stuff the NPCs end up getting into. Again, like you're seeing in this clip. I don't know what the firemen are doing. They're fighting everyone they see, apparently. There's just so many of these small little moments you just don't end up seeing a lot of the times because you're not paying attention to it. You're not going at a slow enough pace to be able to see them. But as weird as it seems, you know, with this realistic lighting, the world just feels more alive. Again, maybe that makes me weird. I'm not entirely sure if other people out there are like that. But one of the games I do this all the time in is Cyberpunk 2077. The lighting in that game looks phenomenal, and I find myself literally just walking around on the streets, taking it all in. And if I'm doing that in this 13-year-old game that we've all played for, you know, hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours by this point, then I think GTA 6 is going to be such an amazing experience. And, you know, I obviously cannot wait. Hopefully we get to see more of that in the next couple of days. April 1st still is hope, I guess, for trailer 2. If not, like I've been saying, I mean, we're what, 6-ish months away from the release of this game if it launches in October of 2025. So Rockstar has to start their marketing at some point here in the next few weeks. So we should be getting some more stuff, you know, barring a delay. But I'm just excited. Like, this ray traced update in GTA 5 on PC has sort of reignited the hope I have for the game. Not that I didn't have hope before, but of course we're all getting a little upset at the lack of information from Rockstar. But this is a GTA 6 feature that they've ported back into GTA 5, and I'm excited to see what else they have in store. So that is gonna do it for today's GTA 5 or GTA 6 video. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, I will see you guys in the next video.